6 wickets to a team which could not even qualify for the upcoming One Day World Cup. And in this special, we will be discussing the logic behind experimenting when India left with a maximum of just 8 one-days in hand before the World Cup begins. We will also discuss what exactly is ailing Suryakumar Yadav's sky in one day, as he was, bear in mind, hailed as Mr. 360 degrees in T20 cricket. And apart from that, we will also talk about Stuart Broad on his last day in international cricket, and of course the Ashes. We will be getting you the latest from the Ashes as well. And of course, joining us is Mr. Jamie Alter and Chetan Narula. Gentlemen, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us here on Game On News 9 Live. Jamie, I'm going to begin with you. Talk to us. I mean, I woke up to that hashtag sack Dravid. Do you think that's a bit much? Is that the kind of experimentation? The meme fest, what has happened? It began with the first one-day international with that Wasim Jaffer tweet, and it's gone to sky-high levels. Tell us, too much experimentation with too little time left?
Yeah, good evening, Krishna. Look, I think this is just my personal opinion. You don't need to look too far back to how Indian teams, and let's forget how other teams approach World Cups, how past Indian teams approach World Cups. If you needed to experiment, you should have started doing that at the latest in the Bangladesh ODI series, which was in December of last year. You ended up losing that series. Then you had a very poor Sri Lanka team coming over in January for 3 matches, and then you had the then ranked New Zealand coming over exactly after they left. In fact, the series overlapped almost to play 3 one-days. If you had to experiment, you had to do then. Now, I say that, Krishna, knowing fully well, at that point, they did not know that Shreyas Iyer, KL Rahul were going to be out for, 4 or 5 months. Bumrah was already out by that time, and Rishabh Pant had already gone through that unfortunate accident. To my mind, that was the time to do experiments, not when. I know you mentioned there are 8 or 9 ODIs left, but these 3 are the last 3 ODIs before India have to name their World Cup squad. So in effect, this was your last trial. So when Rahul Dravid comes out and says, we're looking at the bigger picture, I want to know what the heck that bigger picture is. What was the point of taking Virat Kohli and keeping him there when you didn't get him padded up in the first match and then you benched him in the second match? Now it leaves you in a very awkward spot. To my mind, they're going to have to play the exact same hodgepodge 11 in tomorrow's match, because now if you go back to the status quo, it's acknowledgement that you made a blunder, and this team does not like to acknowledge. It just makes no sense. Very, very simply, I want to ask the question, is Akshar Patel going to bat at 4 in the World Cup? Absolutely not. Is Jadeja going to bat at 5? Absolutely not. Is Shardul Thakur going to bat at 6? Absolutely not. Is Sky going to bat at 3? Absolutely not. So what was the point? If you're going to take it so lightly, then you may as well have just fielded A team or a B team. This was not about, Ishan Kishan might get to bat, so let's see. We all know what Ishan Kishan can do, right?
Right.
So it's just a total mess, and let's hope this mess is not extended in that first match against Australia at Chennai in the first week of August.
Chetan, clearly, that calls for sack Dravid, reverberated somewhere in that answer from Jamie. There was, difficult to find a rationale. What is going on with Dravid? What is happening in the think tank of India?
Hi, Krishna. Hi, Jamie. Look, experimentation is not a problem. You can experiment all you want. You can experiment till the last day before the World Cup starts. Do whatever you want. It has to make sense. Rahul Dravid is talking about the bigger picture. It has to make sense, keeping that bigger picture in mind. Sanju Samson was dropped from the first ODI. They didn't play him there. Ishan Kishan was supposed to play at number 4. Then he opens the innings. So what is Ishan Kishan doing in the middle order? Don't you want Sanju Samson there? Then you pick him for the second ODI. He's batting at 3. Suryakumar Yadav batting at 3, then batting at number 6. Is Suryakumar Yadav ever going to bat at number 3 while Virat Kohli is playing ODI cricket? So it just does not make any sense. Big picture is all fine. Experimentation is all fine. You want to give them a run. You won the toss and you opted to bowl first. Should have opted to bat those 50 overs out. And then in the second ODI, you were put into bat. You were experimenting that same batting lineup that did not last 50 overs. So, like I said, experimentation is all fine. Big picture is all fine. You want to give chances, it's all fine. But it has to make sense. It has to be done keeping that same big picture in mind. And that big picture is the ODI World Cup. When the World Cup happens in India, as it is, a World Cup is a major event for Indian cricket, and the minimum you need is qualification for the semi-final. But when the World Cup is happening in your own backyard, the pressure and the expectations are very different. And Rahul Dravid, Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, Ajit Agarkar, who's the chairman of selectors now, they are no strangers to the expectation and the pressure.
Right.
Come October, that is going to be at the maximum level.
Right.
And the way they are going, and when the World Cup is happening in India, the bare minimum is not semi-final.
Right.
It's getting the trophy.
Yeah.
And the way they are going, they will probably not even reach the semi-final. And it is just staggering at the moment.
It's staggering at the moment. There's words that are difficult to come out of our minds right now. Let's quickly pull up what Mr. Rahul Dravid himself had to say about all this experimentation. If I can ask my team to pull up those graphics. Mr. Rahul Dravid, saying that we have to try out other people and give other people chances. So in a worst case scenario, at least they have game time behind them, and it gives us an opportunity to make some decisions on players in a series like this with only 2 or 3 matches to go. Playing Rohit and Virat would not have given us too many answers. With the injuries we have in the NCA and some uncertainty surrounding it, we wanted to give some of the other boys chances, so if required, they can play. So, fairly textbook explanation there, Jamie, isn't it? That's what you say when you want to experiment people. You want to give bench strength, game time. That's what happens. The thing is that you do that, there's some rules to it. Correct me if I'm wrong. You first secure the series, and then you go into experimentation to give game time to people who have been on the bench for too long. You haven't secured the series in the first place. You want to have a good morale boosting wins going into the World Cup at home, as Chetan could not make that point any further, and then you do this. It beats me again. Even with that explanation, I'm not able to make sense of a man I've admired for more than 2 to 3 decades.
Yeah, look, there is logic to saying that you secure this series. The other way to look at it, if you were never going to play Virat Kohli, and let's face it, Virat Kohli didn't even pad up in the first match, and then you rested him. And after that loss, you say that we have nothing to learn from Kohli and Rahul Dravid. Then let Hardik Pandya captain all three matches. Let Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma get some rest. Why are they in the West Indies? Why is Rohit Sharma wearing a bib and sitting on his rear end behind the boundary line, laughing? That one image to me said so much, right? If that was going to be the way you were going to think about it, then you may as well have not played them, right? I have a very simple question. Okay, you batted Akshar Patel at number 4. Had he got 65 not out, would you have batted him at number 4 in the World Cup? Absolutely not, right? Akshar Patel has been one of the most consistent white ball players since Ravindra Jadeja has been out. In the last 15 months, he has very good batting numbers. He had very good bowling numbers. Just because he's not played a couple of ODIs, that doesn't mean you start to question what he can do, right? He's not the issue. There are players like Suryakumar Yadav, who I know you're going to ask us about, Krishna, who have gotten 25 ODI matches. There are players in the 90s and 2000s, far better players, who would have given, a left arm to get 25 one-day matches. So to my mind, that's an area. And like Chetan said, 1 match 3, 1 match 6, he's not going to bat at 3 when Virat Kohli may have gone through a long slump of form, but he's still the best number 3 going around in one-day cricket. And I have him marked out for a bumper World Cup. So if you want to play Suryakumar Yadav, you bat him in the place where he's most likely, and it's a big if he gets in India's playing 11 now, you bat him at number 6, not number 3.
Right. We'll get to Suryakumar Yadav, as Jamie is rightly saying. Chetan, in that sense, Rahul Dravid's explanation doesn't do much for our minds, and also it also puts doubts in my mind, honestly, as to how is the mental makeup of the team with such little time left for the one-day World Cup. Where is the cohesion in thought and action and results? Remember the build-up to all those good World Cups that we had? This one doesn't feel like it. This one feels like a little like 2007, and it's a little scary over there.
Absolutely. I was just going to say there is one World Cup for which the build-up was almost similar like this. And the word that comes to mind is actually confusion. You ask me what the team might be thinking right now. That word is confusion. The morale will be lower a bit because you can't lose to West Indies, a side that hasn't qualified for the World Cup, and then think, we'll reach the semi-finals. We'll win the Asia Cup before the World Cup. We might even win the World Cup at home. No, you can't really think that. Now, 2007 was the one standout ODI World Cup where the build-up was this confused. Why? Because Irfan Pathan as an all-rounder was batting at number 3 and 4 for an entire year. And then when you went to the Caribbean, he was nowhere to be found. You had Sachin Tendulkar opening, Sehwag opening. You went to the Caribbean, Sachin Tendulkar was dropped down to number 4. Virender Sehwag dropped down to number 3. I mean, these things have happened in the past when Rahul Dravid was head of the team, was in charge of the team. They are again happening. So you can see there's a common thread.
Oh gosh, I did not want to say that, Chetan. I did not want to say that.
I am not calling for Rahul Dravid's head because that would just be pointless right now. 2 months before the World Cup, it's just pointless. But the track record is not good. You look at the 2022 T20 World Cup, they did the same thing. They had Dinesh Karthik, padded up throughout for the last 10, 15 balls. Not even, when India was 4 down at, in 12 overs, where Akshar Patel used to come ahead of Dinesh Karthik. Dinesh Karthik's sole purpose was batting those last 15 balls. It did not work out. Then one match before the semi-final, they said, oh, we need a left-hander, so we'll bring Rishabh Pant back in. You had the entire tournament to play Rishabh Pant. They did not drop KL Rahul when he was batting slowly. So this has happened in the past. It has happened last year. It has happened this year with the World Test Championship when they didn't play R. Ashwin. So Rahul Dravid is no stranger with these weird calls. Again, I'm not saying, sack him right now because he's as it is going to leave the post after the ODI World Cup. But it's high time that you start making the right calls. You start deciding who's going to bat where. Suryakumar Yadav, 5 or 6, that's his position. So he needs to continue batting there.
Right.
He can't be batting at 3 one match, then 4 match. Make up your mind. Make up your mind about Ishan Kishan and Sanju Samson. What are you doing with them? So it's about time to make up your mind. There's just no more time to wait.
Right. We keep going back to that man, Suryakumar Yadav, and we will go to him after we finish discussing the Indian cricket team and its chances at the upcoming One-Day International World Cup. Jamie, you've been tracking this for so long. Is there any chance that any kind of damage control from here, any kind of making up your mind once and for all from here can sort of save the blushes for India in a home World Cup?
Absolutely. Look, I'm not by any stretch of my imagination. Am I saying that India is going to have a terrible World Cup? I still think with one eye shut, they should be able to walk into the semifinals because those are going to be played at home. Look, I understand that, Bumrah's struggling against the clock to come back. So is KL Rahul. So is Shreyas Iyer. But if even one of them come back, things are going to change. And we know that once the World Cup starts, a sense of normalcy will, and I hope it returns, in that Rohit will open, Gill will open, Virat Kohli will bat at 3. Your problem remains number 4. Now, Chetan and I have been on many shows here on Newsline Live, and we have a sense of who our number 4 should be, right? But by batting Ishan Kishan in 2 matches as opener, he's done his job. He's got you 2 very brisk, very stroke-filled half centuries on, let's say, somewhat difficult tracks. Now what? Just because he won't open in the World Cup, you say, okay, thanks, lad, go sit down. Now you have to play him, right? So now he falls into the equation of a number 4, where frankly, not too many of us actually believe he could bat. I still feel Sanju Samson is a very good option. I feel Hardik Pandya is still a very good option until Shreyas Iyer, who was India's most successful ODI middle order batsman for the last 2 years, does not make it. But what do you do with Ishan Kishan? He's got 250. It's very hard to now say, hey, sorry, just that you're not opening. If they just pick the right 11, if they get certain players back, they can still, I think, rather easily walk into the semifinals just because of their home track record and the kind of status that many of these players enjoy at home. And the fact that since 2015, only one team has managed to win a bilateral series in India, and they are my tournament favorites, Australia. I just feel the one-day format has a lack of quality opposition. Barring England and Australia, I don't see any team challenging India in the league stage of the World Cup.
Right, Jamie Alter there. Hopeful, Jamie. Chetan, I want to understand. Hopeful is a good thing to be. It's for fair logic as well. Look at, we have a problem of plenty. This is a good problem to have. However, but what we are going through right now is what is making us rethink all the talent that we have in the bank. Chasing 115 in the first ODI. Dropping Rohit Kohli in the batting order to save the blushes eventually. And then Rohit sent him to bat at 7. Kohli did not even get to bat. The experimentation began with the first ODI. India losing 5 wickets for 97 runs. Finally, Rohit ensuring a win without any further problem. In the second ODI, both Rohit and Kohli completely rested and dropped from the side. India all out for 181 and about in the 41st over. They were 90 for no loss, and from there on, 10 wickets falling. West Indies winning the second ODI by 6 wickets and squaring up that 3-match series 1-1. So the decider is what we're up against. Chetan, you know what, before we discuss the World Cup, quickly I want to get your take on the upcoming decider. What do you think is the urgent, literally need of the hour, so to speak, to make sure we at least win the series and not go to a country which doesn't play the upcoming one-day World Cup to lose a series to them completely?
Well, it's not an easy answer. It's not an easy answer, Krishna, because you can't bring back Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli for the third ODI because you're experimenting now, aren't you? So you just experimented for the 2 matches, then you 1-1, so you bring back Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli. No, you can't do that, which probably they will end up doing, but you can't really do that because it makes you look foolish. So you have to keep on playing these guys. And I tell you what the worst part is of this experimentation in the first 2 matches is that these batsmen, the young batsmen, they threw away their wickets. Yes, Ishan Kishan got those 2 half centuries, but he went on and threw away his wickets in both the games. He scored a half century in the second ODI. He should have carried on and scored 100.
In fact, his wicket loss sort of sparked the collapse eventually.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you look at the kind of shots Hardik Pandya played, Suryakumar Yadav played in both the matches. Sanju Samson, he's been waiting for his chance. You can't be called a spin specialist because you're hitting sixes in Ahmedabad on a flat track in the IPL. The moment the ball is turning in West Indies, you edge it to slip. You're not a spin specialist that way. So, look, that was the most disappointing bit, the kind of temperament, or in fact, the lack of temperament that these young batsmen showed in not even scoring 200, 250 odd on a turning wicket. That was the disappointing bit with the experimentation, and that is why it hasn't worked. So now it's a bit of a quandary for Rahul Dravid and the team management and the selectors, whether you bring back Rohit Sharma or Virat Kohli.
You have to, Jamie, you have to. You can't lose the series.
But you need to back these guys, yeah.
Jamie, what say? Got to bring back Virat and Rohit for the last one day.
No, but that's exactly what I said at the start of the show. Now, if they bring it back, it's an acknowledgement that they made an absolute mess by experimenting. And like Chetan just said, now that you said we're experimenting, they cannot. I mean, they might bring back one of them, but if you do that, that's going to actually send them into more of a tailspin because it defeats the whole purpose. And then you're going to have even more people getting angry and asking questions. They have put themselves in this situation on their own. If they knew that there was any chance of, again, experimenting happening in these 3 matches, then you should have just sent Virat Kohli home because he's not playing T20s.
I was just about to say that, Jamie. Just about to say that. Why do you take these guys all the way up there? And because they are there is no designated batsman for the positions in which they play in. And so the entire thing is basically like, that Wasim Jafar tweet, put a bat and just put the finger on the position that you want to play. That's how it looks like, at least.
If you're experimenting now, you have to do it for all 3 matches. You cannot go back and bring these guys in. Absolutely as simple as what Chetan said.
All right, Chetan, then quickly I want to ask you, let the next one day be. Quickly, what would be your fix-it suggestion to Mr. Dravid for the upcoming World Cup with the time left? We do have a home series against Australia. I mean, we can make up for lost time.
Well, yes, we can. But by then, the ODI World Cup squad will have been picked. Look, the quick fix solution is back people where they are good at. You already have the evidence, what they can do, what they can't do. If you can't make up your mind with Sanju Samson, make Hardik Pandya bat at number 4. Suryakumar Yadav cannot bat higher than 5 or 6 if he's in the playing 11. Ishan Kishan is your backup opener. Make sure he stays your backup opener. Just because he scored 2 half centuries opening, you cannot bat him at number 4, which is eventually what is going to happen in the World Cup, by the way. But you cannot really do that. So you pick the players, pick them properly, pick them for their proper positions. Don't mix things up. Because we mixed things up, we did not win the 2019 ODI World Cup, and we will lose another opportunity just because they're mixing things up.
Ouch, ouch. Not good thoughts. Not vibing well with those thoughts, Chetan. Jamie, and we were discussing all of this, and every time we discuss this Indian team, Indian one-day team, what happens is that we end up discussing one man mostly. That guy's name is Suryakumar Yadav, affectionately known as Sky, was flying sky high, up until recently, and then जैसे हिंदी में कहते हैं नजर लग गया लगता है, something has been off. He's been good at the IPL. Bear in mind, there's been no issues over there, Jamie. But when it comes to one days, and the same reason when we talk about Suryakumar Yadav, it's the first question is if you are playing him in the 11 and then you play him in this position. So the first question is always if. No half century in the last 17 one-day internationals for Suryakumar Yadav. Those are the stats. Sky's last 50 was a 64 against, again, West Indies in Ahmedabad in February last year. And the last 17 ODIs, 215 runs at an average of 13.43. And these are not numbers that I want to keep repeating all the time for Suryakumar Yadav. Jamie, these numbers really tell you only one story. It's not been good for Suryakumar Yadav in one-day internationals. T20s is still back, from that slump, but one-day internationals, big question marks hanging over Suryakumar Yadav's ability to really bring it in.
Yeah, and these questions have not been hanging, just the last couple of weeks. They've been there for a long time. Each of the 25 one-day matches Suryakumar Yadav has played has been when a major player or a first-choice player, and this is a fact. You can look at every 25 of those scorecards when a major player has been rested or injured. So he's still, after 25 one-day matches, he's still not a first 11 player. Now, 25 matches in a build-up to a World Cup year, and a build-up, I mean, this would have started 8, 9, 10 months ago. 25 matches in a build-up to a World Cup is a massive opportunity. He's averaging 23.8 after 25 matches. Now, his supporters, with some degree of merit, will say he's never had a set batting position, and I agree with that. But still, 25 matches and 22 innings, that's enough time to figure out what is required. Maybe it's a diet of T20 cricket where he plays a different, brilliant attacking from ball one game. Maybe that's going against him. I'm not going to go and say okay, these were tacky pitches. He should have played. He's played enough to understand how to apply himself. Chetan is right. Those two shots. Now coming to Sanju Samson. Sanju Samson is already being vilified because he failed in one match. Give him 25 matches and I guarantee you he will put out outstanding numbers. Sanju Samson Krishna has played 12 one-day matches. That Suryakumar Yadav has played more, half of that. He's averaging 56 from 11 innings. In 2022, he's averaging 72 from 9 innings at a strike rate of 105. In 2022, Suryakumar Yadav averaged 26. This year, he's averaging 11 from like 10 matches. Why is the team so hell-bent on proving that he's a one-day player? I hate to go down this line. Is there a Mumbai Indians lobby? I have to ask the question because it is beyond logic. The 25 matches of consistent failure, and he's still there. They're dropping Rohit Sharma to accommodate him. They're leaving out Samson to. I'm saying at the very least, based on stats, Sanju Samson averaged 72 last year at a strike rate of 105, and you don't see him as a middle order player. This is one player I'm really struggling to understand how he's still in the team.
Oh my goodness, we began with that if. It looks like, why even ask that question because, that hasn't been answered in so long and it continues to remain unanswered, Chetan, doesn't it?
It does because he hasn't justified his spot in the playing 11, but I think it's not his fault alone. I think the Indian team management hasn't really identified what he's actually good at. If we look at his T20 record, he's good at scoring those big runs when there are 15 to 18 overs left. But now he's batting at 3 and 4 when there are 30, 35 overs left. He's not used to that sort of white ball cricket on the international stage. So you're using him wrong. He should be batting anywhere when, more than 15 overs are left or more than 20 overs are left. Which is why I say if Suryakumar Yadav is in the playing 11, he should be batting at number 5 and number 6. And that is, I think, what is the team management also thinking? But they're just running out of time to prove it again and again and again. Look, in my book, Suryakumar Yadav, because he's such a big match winner, he should be in the ODI World Cup squad if either KL Rahul or Shreyas Iyer are not available. If both of them are available, then Suryakumar Yadav should be in the backups. He should be, with the squad traveling. In case an injury happens, you can bring him up to the squad. But if one of them is not there, he should be in the squad just because what he brings to the table. But only if the team management decides and understands what is the correct way to use him. As for Sanju Samson, look, I'm not a big fan of Sanju Samson's temperament. I don't think he's proven himself. Those stats are inflated because he had a couple of not outs in there as well. But look, he has to be given a chance, a proper chance, because there is an injury cloud over KL Rahul. And you need to take 2 wicketkeeper batsmen to the World Cup. So if KL Rahul is not going to be there or is not keeping wicket, you have to take Sanju Samson and he has to be in the middle order. So give him a proper chance. The fact that they didn't play him in the first ODI was mind-boggling, absolutely mind-boggling.
All right. We were discussing Suryakumar Yadav. Somehow that conversation has led into Sanju Samson because we're questioning, if you're going to take Suryakumar Yadav, you have a better option being the point over here. I'm going to now pull up what Coach Dravid had to say about Suryakumar Yadav's one-day international form. There you go on your screen. Look, Surya is a really good player. There's no doubt about it. His performances have shown that, especially in T20 cricket, unfortunately, he'd be the first one to admit that his one-day numbers are not up to his own high standards that he has set in T20s. He has played a lot of competitive 2020 cricket through the IPL before he made his India debut, but in terms of one-day cricket, he has not played that much. There's no IPL in one-day cricket, so I think he's also learning, trying to figure out how to bat in those middle overs. Essentially backing Suryakumar Yadav through and through. Coach Dravid over there. Jamie, I want to get your response on that, saying that, is his makeup, his career makeup has been all about T20 cricket. So in that sense, maybe we're being a little too harsh on him when it comes to judging his performances in one-day cricket.
Yeah, we could be, but I think we discussed the fact that, that he's not been given that role. And like I said, that is definitely, it has an issue on the stats. But more than that, I'm just wondering, 25 matches is a blooming long time to give someone. Why don't you give Sanju Samson 25 matches, right? Sanju Samson, and Chetan is right, there were not outs, but his 5 not outs were because he stood not out and the innings was over. He stood not out in 5 successful chases. Suryakumar Yadav, forget finishing chases, he's not getting starts. So I'm saying you have when you're comparing him to any other player vying for that. And again, I'm on the same page as Chetan. If KL Rahul, purely based on his stats and what he's achieved in ODIs, batting at number 5, and Shreyas Iyer batting number 4, if they're available, then by all means, if you want to drop Samson, drop him as well. But this whole thing of giving one man a long run and not giving the other one, when the stats clearly show that he is a finisher. He finished 5 matches for you, 43 not out, 54 not out, 36 not out, 84 not out. It wasn't like these are significant innings. Put the 2 not out aside, put the 6 not out aside. What has Suryakumar Yadav done? Your own team, Krishna, was showing the stats a while ago. Right. It's been 17 ODI innings. Samson has only played 11 innings. And in those innings, he has 7 match-winning knocks. You're discarding that and you're saying, let's play Sky. It's beyond me. I'm sorry.
Okay, it's beyond you. If I were to ask Chetan a simple question, we keep talking about the time left or the lack of time left, 8 matches left to go for the World Cup. Would it be fair to throw Suryakumar Yadav into the deep sea at this stage?
Probably not. And I think the question of fair and unfair arises because of the way team management is behaving with them, experimenting left, right and center. I do agree with Jamie that, Sanju Samson should be given more opportunities. And I was absolutely furious when he wasn't given those opportunities. Suryakumar Yadav, throw him in the deep end right now. But like I said, you need to understand where he bats, where he's the best, where you can best utilize him. And if Rahul and Shreyas Iyer are not available, then what are you going to do? I think the team management knows more than they are telling us regarding the fitness of KL Rahul and Shreyas Iyer. I think they are absolutely banking on those 2 batsmen getting fit for the World Cup. That is the only thing that can explain this mindless experimentation. Otherwise, if those 2 guys aren't fit and this is what you're doing, it just does not make any sense.
And also, if it doesn't make sense at this stage, are we looking at a not so long one-day career per se for Suryakumar Yadav, Jamie?
Look, it's going to come across as I'm just here to bash Suryakumar Yadav. I hope he gets the final match for all the reasons we've taken. But what if he fails in tomorrow's one-day match, right? Let's hope that KL Rahul comes back. Let's hope that Shreyas Iyer comes back. If they don't come back in time for the Asia Cup or the World Cup, they will come back at some point. They're just two good players. So Suryakumar Yadav, who's on the wrong side of 30, okay, I'm fine if 25 matches become 30 matches. Throw on 5 matches. Give him the first 2-3 matches of the Asia Cup. What if he doesn't click? Then are you going to take a player who spent into the World Cup if Iyer and Rahul don't make it back? If he doesn't score in this final match, I think the time is, you know what? Hey, we'll take the blame. By we, I mean Rahul Dravid. We messed up, Surya. We were unfair on you. We didn't find you the right batting position. But there's no point taking a player who's just failing to start into the World Cup. These 3 ODIs were massive, and unfortunately, I know they won one match, but it still feels like a loss because they botched up the entire the process in that one match.
We almost got loss from the jaws of victory in that first one-day international. But Chetan, okay, hold on for a second over here. We're talking about Mr. 360. That term is given to very few people. It's used for people like A.B. de Villiers, for God's sake, and that's the term you use for Suryakumar Yadav. T20s is still all right. His strike rate is very good. 175 odd is his strike rate in T20s. A fairly good average as well. So Suryakumar Yadav is still good to go as far as T20s are concerned.
Oh, absolutely. He's golden over there. And I think with Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma slowly moving out of the picture in T20 cricket, he could actually become India's next number 3 batsman. And he should be batting at number 3 for India in T20 cricket. It's the ODIs which is concerning us. And of course, in fact, the T20 World Cup next year, the dates of the T20 World Cup are out even before the tickets have been announced for this year's ODI World Cup. But yeah, I'm expecting Suryakumar Yadav to lead the charge for India at number 3 in next year's T20 World Cup. But it's the ODI World Cup, again, I'm pointing out, where we need to understand, is he actually useful to us? At what position he's useful to us? In what situation can he be useful to us? And I think those are the answers that India needs to find in this tomorrow's game, and also the T20s that are remaining, and perhaps the Asia Cup before they finalize the ODI World Cup squad.
Right, this inclusion of Suryakumar Yadav is making me sort of feel like the question over the inclusion of Vijay Shankar in that World Cup. So many questions, and eventually that choice didn't prove right. But good, Vijay Shankar is still doing his bit in the IPL and willing to make a comeback. We'll see what happens with that. But we'll wrap this discussion up on Suryakumar Yadav for now. Wishing him all the luck in T20 international. 5 T20 internationals coming up. Quickly, Jamie, expecting Suryakumar Yadav's fireworks in those T20s at least, if not the one-days?
Absolutely, because he's just so at ease. I mean, he's ranked number 1, outstanding. That 175 at one point was 185. He's just outstanding. And I mean, you briefly mentioned A.B. de Villiers. I think in some ways he's gone beyond him because he's taken that template and he's added a few shots, and just the consistency that Suryakumar Yadav shows in T20, it is just mind-boggling. And like Chetan said, number 3 is where he should bat. He's got 100 from 4. He's got 100 from number 3. But I think 3 is the place where he'll bat. I think whenever Hardik Pandya is not around to lead, you also have a good option in giving him the captaincy as well. Outstanding one-day T20 player, the best in the business right now, both at the IPL level as well as the international level. But somehow he's just yet to crack the one-day format, unfortunately.
Right. Let's also then at this stage quickly listen into an expert take really on Suryakumar Yadav and his form in T20 cricket.
Suryakumar Yadav had a spectacular 2022. In the shortest format of the game, he scored 1,164 runs from 31 matches. At a strike rate of 187.43. With 2 centuries and 9 half centuries, he hit 68 sixes and 104 fours, the highest in T20s in 2022.
He seems to create strokes. He's a very creative batsman. So most batsmen, if you bowl in a certain direction, they'll play a certain stroke. You pitch it outside, a little bit outside the off stump, he'll go for a cover drive, or if it's short, he'll go for a cut. But Suryakumar Yadav can play the ball from outside the off stump to fine leg or to square leg, or from middle stump and leg stump, go inside out and play it over cover. Now, when you have a batsman who can do all of that, it's impossible virtually impossible for the bowlers and the captain, the bowling captain, to set a field.
2018, 2019, 2020, those 3 years after he was promoted up the order, he also felt more confident in his position in Mumbai Indians.
All right, all that made up that name that was eventually given to Mr. 360, a name that I love because the first man who got that name was one of my all-time favorite batsmen, Mr. A.B. de Villiers. And then we got our very own Mr. 360. If you want to know more, for all those watching this broadcast, please log on to our News9 Plus app for all the expert take on Suryakumar Yadav and lots more on cricket and sport. So make sure you download News9 Plus and watch the entire documentary on Sky. Suryakumar Yadav only on News9 Plus. But moving on here on the show, gentlemen, away from the much discussed Mr. Suryakumar Yadav, away from Indian cricket really, to a man who has retired officially. He's got one game left that is in progress as we speak. Mr. Stuart Broad, son of the great Mr. Chris Broad. Stuart Broad's career, most Indians remember this man because of the inaugural T20 World Cup when he went for 6 sixes against Yuvraj Singh in that match. But then again, the story of what happened after that really, that makes up the story of Mr. Stuart Broad. Incredible career that has seen him come back from that 6 sixes and play for another 16 odd years roughly, and second only to the great James Anderson. Jamie, as I was looking at this retirement, all I can think of is that guy is still playing. James Anderson is still playing. Stuart Broad has retired, Jamie.
Yeah, it's remarkable, and it's absolutely fitting that whenever you talk about James Anderson and Stuart Broad, vice versa, the other has to be mentioned because they're the most successful fast bowling pair in the history of Test cricket. Like we all grew up hearing certain names. Then we had the privilege of watching Wasim and Waqar and Ambrose and Walsh to come to mind. But the fact that these two guys have done it, and James Anderson is 41, and Broad just said, I don't think he's stopping. Anderson actually made his debut in 2003, and then Broad came along in 2007. It's just hats off. I mean, if you've taken 600 wickets, only two fast bowlers in the history of this great game, spanning well over a century, have managed to get past 600. And one is just retired, and the other one is not slowing down. So it's just an outstanding career that Stuart Broad has had.
Right, Chetan, I wanted to quickly come to you on that. His career sort of reminds me of a guy like Jason Gillespie. Wasn't exactly the Glenn McGrath of the team, but was a solid support to Glenn McGrath that really extended Glenn McGrath's own career in a way. In that sense, what happened to James Anderson over here?
Absolutely, I think the analogy is absolutely perfect. And when we're talking of pairings, we can also talk about how they have fitted or gelled well together, like Waqar Younis and Wasim Akram complemented each other well, like Curtly Ambrose and Courtney Walsh did. And those were the guys who bowled their hearts out in the 90s. And I think this pairing has given us a spectacle in the 2000s. I mean, the current generation, the modern fan, they will remember, what it was to hunt in pairs in Test cricket or in any format really. I mean, they have played white ball together as well. But it's in Test cricket that, in excess of 1,200 wickets, I don't think we're going to see that ever again. Anderson, yes, his longevity is absolutely gobsmacking. But even Stuart Broad, for that matter, to take 600 wickets as a fast bowler, it's not a mean achievement. And when I truly think about it, is he going to be the last fast bowler ever to take 600 wickets? I don't see anybody on the horizon. And not just because of not seeing anybody on the horizon, but also the fact that international cricket is taking such a shape and such a form that it's almost impossible for a fast bowler to keep on playing Test cricket for so long. I mean, they have to take care of so many other things, white ball cricket, so many leagues propping up. The international calendar is just so packed. Unless and until you give up everything else and just concentrate on Test cricket, you're not going to get these magnificent numbers. And do the modern day cricketers have that much in them to quit white ball formats and play Test cricket? I think that in itself is an ode to the likes of Anderson and Broad, and we will never see their likes again. Let's just Let's just say that. We'll never see their likes again.
Okay. That's an emotional eulogy for Stuart Broad. But let's quickly. We were talking about the 6 sixes. Let's then pull up what Stuart Broad had to say about those 6 sixes. The quote, ladies and gentlemen, of Stuart Broad on the impact, really, of being on the other end of all that. It was obviously a pretty tough day. What would I have been? 21, 22 then? I learnt a lot. I pretty much based a whole mental routine through that experience, knowing that I was left very short as an international performer. I'd rushed my preparation. I didn't have any pre-ball routine. I didn't have any focus. I started building my quote-unquote warrior mode that I call it after that experience. I think it's steeled me up, make the competitor I am today, and has driven me forward a huge amount. Perfect lesson to learn from something like that, And on this note, let's also pull up what the man Yuvraj Singh had to say on Stuart Broad's retirement. Congratulations on an incredible Test career. One of the finest and most feared red ball bowlers and a real legend. Your journey and determination have been super inspiring. Good luck for next leg, Brody. That's Yuvraj Singh. Jamie, quickly, he's talking about a feared bowler. He was one of the first guys who told the world that no need to fear him. Clearly, if you if you can see the ball well and you're sure about your bat swing, then you don't need to fear Stuart Broad. But great words really coming in from Yuvraj Singh, because if you were to give advice to a young Stuart Broad, you would have told him exactly what he followed himself. Take this experience and make it into that one thing that will never happen to you ever again. And it did not happen to him ever again.
Absolutely. And here we are talking about him, 600 Test wickets. And he's right. He was 21. He was less than a year old. I mean, he made his England debut in white ball cricket at the age of 2006, So less than a year later, there he is, playing his first major tournament of all times. And it would have broken far, far, far lesser players, And still to this day, I mean, every time that day pops around of the anniversary, people still like to tag him and bring it down. But hats off to him for putting that firmly in the background. And I know that we remember him for 600 Test wickets, but he's got a very good one-day record. He didn't do too badly in international T20s. Right. But like Chetan was saying, the fact that he was dropped from their white ball plans after a disastrous 2015 World Cup definitely also had a role in him playing on for so many years, because had he been part of the one-day setup for another 3-4 years, the body probably couldn't have been able to do the things that it has been doing. And there was a tour of Sri Lanka and the West Indies back-to-back a few years ago, I think just pre-COVID or during COVID. And that's when, you talk about experimenting and resting already. This England team was doing it. Right. They would they'd play Broad once. I remember Broad said, he's like, I'm sitting here in Sri Lanka. I want to play all 3 Test matches. Why am I being dropped? I want to play. It's a big statement from a person, at that stage. And since then, frankly, they have not been resting him. They've given him all the matches possible, and that's why he's here with 600 Test wickets. Multiple
comebacks. That's how it works. Just like Chennai Super Kings. It's not about when you're down. It's all about how much you keep coming back. Sorry, my favorite team in the IPL, considering my home city. Quickly, we'll put up the Ashes scorecard as we speak. Quickly, the hope here is that this Test ends well for Stuart Broad. There you go, 238 for 3. It's the last Test of the Ashes and last day of the last Test as well. And Stuart Broad's last day for England in the whites and, in fact, in all other colours. Here's hoping that England will somehow be able to pull this back. Looks very unlikely now, doesn't it, Chetan?
Well, just as we were talking about this, it started raining again. I've been watching it on the television, which is why I look up for the score.
Okay.
But yeah, it started raining again. It's supposed to be a 90-minute shower, so I think the second session will be washed away. Stuart Broad would have liked to finish his Ashes career or his English career, with a win. But it's been a fantastic series, although as the viewers know of News 9 that I'm not a big fan of baseball, but it's been a magnificent series to watch. Okay. There have been so many topics to discuss apart from the cricket as well. I mean, spirit of cricket has been mentioned a few times. The rules have been mentioned a few times. It's created a bit of ruckus on social media, if I can say. But look, Ashes cricket is the pinnacle of Test cricket. I mean, I think the closest anything comes to it is India-Australia. I think it's the second biggest show in world cricket. The first one, obviously, being India-Pakistan in an ODI World Cup. And we will be treated to that later this year as well. But just in terms of Test cricket, nothing beats the Ashes, the charm of the Ashes, the romance of the Ashes. So James Anderson, probably his last Ashes Test. So, last Ashes Test for a lot of them, actually. Steve Smith, David
I was about to say, but that's for another show, Chetan.
Yeah.
The thing is that, I was going to say, not just for Stuart Broad, it's James Anderson for probably the last Ashes, but that's for another day.
Well. So,
I'm afraid we've completely run out of time here on this particular show, on this particular special here on News 9 Live. I'm going to thank you, Chetan, for taking time out to be with us, and of course, Jamie Alter for taking time out to be with us as well. With that, it's a wrap here from my side. Thank you so much for watching. Keep it with News 9 Live.
Gautam Adani, one of the richest men in the world, or a business honcho, accused of manipulating the market.
अदानी जी 609 नंबर से दूसरे नंबर तक कैसे पहुंचे? सिर्फ एक सवाल पूछा, नरेंद्र मोदी जी, आपका अदानी जी से रिश्ता क्या है?
He has given the space, the railways, the airport, which he has no experience also. So the country's interest has been compromised.
Government has been very clearly supporting few industrial groups, including Adani's industrial group.
Target Adani, streaming now.